Hey everyone, good evening. It's kind of late, but you've probably seen on my story here this week that I'm at a conference, and this is a marketing conference, and we're around so many incredible people and so many motivational speakers, and they're all talking about their stories, and it kind of got me into thinking about my story. And just as of recently, I've taken the step into talking about depression. I feel like in 2020, it's really going to come around about people being open to talk about their mental health. And just lately in 2019, when I decided to quit my job after 10 years and be a personal trainer full time, I was like, okay, I'm going to be real with people. And it's funny, I've been told to be real with you for the longest time, but depression is a sensitive subject, especially when you grew up in the era that I did, where it was just like, rub some dirt on it, you're fine. And so I never quite felt okay to talk about it. And just as of recently, I have. So I've talked about this story just a little bit, kind of scratching the surface in my 6-week challenges. And they've heard the 3 phases in my life, but I haven't really told anyone that's not interested in the 6-week challenge. So I just wanted to get on here and jump in and talk about my backstory and how depression saved my life and got me really fit and got into fitness, which is kind of interesting to me. So let me know if you can relate to this. I'm curious to hear how depression helped you, saved you, redirected your life, and if you don't feel comfortable commenting on this post, then feel free to direct message me. Like, I want to hear, because I've been there, so I would really like to hear how depression has also, not depression pulled you out of it, but fitness has pulled you out of depression. And it might not mean that like you're completely cured, but it did to some point. So I want to talk about how, again, depression took me into fitness and to be healthy. And so way back when, and I call this my phase 1. Phase 1 of my life was just, I would eat and eat and eat. The funny thing is I would use fitness and food to help with my depression, which totally butted heads, and it doesn't really work. I would eat anything. Here's the philosophy I had back then was, if I ate everything I wanted, no limits, anything and everything, I would be okay if I would run X miles a day this many times a week. So I have an appetite like a horse, and I would run 4 miles 5 days a week. And see, here's the thing is, I was a 4-year track letterman, and that's kind of what I knew to do. And I lived out in the country, if anyone knows, Snake River, Idaho, Blackfoot area, East Idaho. And it was common for me, it was country blocks, right? So each corner is a mile, and I would just pick a direction, and I would run a block and then be home. And that was my 4 miles. And that's all I knew. So I said, okay, you can eat all of that, but don't forget to run. And it worked for a little bit. So let's back up though, and let's also talk about why I thought this and my thought process back then. Keep in mind, I was fresh out of high school, 18, young 20s, okay? So don't judge me on my thought process. And maybe you've been there and it makes sense to you in some sort. So I was dealing with depression, okay? So running also helped me with depression. I've been dealing with depression since young age. And so I was like, you know what? I feel better. The endorphins of fitness, right? I feel better when I run. So I would use that. And it helped me deal with that a little bit. And so I always thought, I can't give up running, because if I'm slightly depressed and I run, can you imagine what it would be like if I stopped running, gained all the weight, and then let that weight gain on and just accumulate, and I would be overweight and miserable. Okay. So if I was depressed before, there's no way in hell I was going to let me ever gain that freshman 15. I was so set in my mind that I am going to college and I am not going to gain that freshman 15. I actually did it. Not to say that I did it in a healthy way, because I kept my running, but I was the fear of being fat was keeping me in fitness. Okay. And so in a way, my depression got me into fitness and losing weight, which is kind of funny. And I was just in the chase of, like, I was chasing happiness, right? Like, oh, this happiness is going to be at the end of this mile, or the next mile, or the next mile. Oh, it wasn't? Okay, still don't feel very good. Maybe it's at the end of this pizza. Or, guys, Arctic Circle, back in high school, would sell a bag of burgers. Me and my best friend, we could eat. And it was terrible. Bag of burgers gave you like five, I think they were hamburgers or cheeseburgers, and it was like $5. So for high school people, we're like, score. And it was just me and her, and we would eat the whole bag. So I would have 2 hamburgers, 2.5 each. Like, that's terrible. I don't even want to do like the calculation on the calories. And then the Little Caesar pizzas, I would eat those. Like, we would split it easily, like no problem. And probably crazy bread. So yeah, crazy bread on the side. So that's just, I don't think I've ever really truly, I've kind of given people hints about where my fitness started, but I never really dove into like the exact reason. I just kind of was like, oh yeah, I like to run. No, like running was a solution to feeling like crap. And like I said, the endorphins of running, I wasn't a bad runner. It was something that I could do. I could run 4 miles. And I mean, granted, I wasn't like, oh, this is super easy. No, but it was an accomplishment that made me feel good. And in my brain, I also owed it to myself, because in my brain, I said, I ate all of this crap. You have to do X, Y, and Z. And it worked for a little bit. So here's the problem with trying to outwork your bad diet. And girls, I know every single one that watches this video can relate to this moment right here, where we're not willing to clean up our diet. And so we're going to do a little bit extra activity to make up for it. And that's all I did. And what happens is you feel in debt to fitness. You feel like you can't ever skip a day, which creates a whole other mind of other things, right? Like you can't take rest days. You always have to go to the gym because you ate X, Y, and Z. And so it creates a terrible ton of things. But I was just thinking of everyone's story today, and I just wanted to get on here and finally, it feels good to open up about it. And I've also talked to my clients recently. There's a couple of them that will rename that word. But like, and it's so crazy to think that so many of us deal with depression, yet we are so, especially females, we are so scared to talk about it. And I would really love to hear what really helps you pull out of your depression, if it's fitness, or what do you do? At a really end of the rough day, sometimes I like to space out. Tonight, we had meetings all day, and it was kind of emotionally and mentally exhausting. My favorite thing is, I know I need to work out because I feel better after I work out. I like to get on a stair mill or an elliptical and just open up Hulu. I watched Grey's Anatomy tonight. And TV for me, I escape my world and I can live into that episode. And like I said, I was talking to clients lately, and so many females deal with depression. And like I said, 2020 is going to be the year where we can really start taking care of ourselves. I told this in the 6-week live video that I think 2020 is going to be like #self-care. Anything you need to do to take care of yourself is what 2020 is going to be about. That could be going to the gym regularly. That could be more me time. If you see my stories recently, I've started going to like those craft nights with some of my friends and talking to my therapist. And just to tell you, I have a therapist. I want to hold back, but I'm going to be open. Everyone talks to therapists, more people than you think. Every one of my clients does. So I'm going to be open and tell you, my therapist says, I'm a creative human being. My personality test shows this. And everything in my life that is creative was for my business. And so I needed to find something that I could be creative that wasn't to promote the fitness life or Ali Smith figure. It was just simply a creative outlet. So I joined the craft nights, and I think this is really going to be huge for 2020. Is I think every one of you, females, males, need to find something that is going to better your life in 2020 so you can better others' lives. Because if you can't take care of yourself first, you're not going to be able to take care of anybody else, especially all you mothers out there. Okay? 2020 is literally I'm going to claim it now. 2020 is hashtag self-care. And fitness, I'm going to preach that fitness can be that because it's done it for me. I've seen it do it for other people. And if you're going about fitness and it makes you feel worse, don't think that that's the only way to go about it. I don't approach fitness the same with all of my clients. There's something definitely that each of us need, and there's not a cookie cutter way to do that. Okay? And I think consulting a professional expert in the fitness industry can help you find your path. There's not this one way or the highway thing. It's whatever needs you need. And maybe it's not even fitness. Maybe you are already into fitness, but you need to find something else. Just remember that if you can't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of others. Physically, emotionally, mentally, physically. So, yeah. So anyways, I just wanted to jump on here and kind of tell my story and how depression got me into fitness and got me into the best shape of my life. And I think it's good for us to all talk about it. I would really like to hear comments on what you think, and how, maybe you deal with depression. Comments or message me. I really do want to hear. I've seen a couple of names popping up here and I know every single one of you. And I think it's time for us to not be embarrassed to talk about it. So there it is. All right. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And I will keep you up on my stories. Keep an eye on them. We're in a really cool place. We're in Nashville this week. And this is this is the Gaylord Resort. Really awesome place. So keep an eye on my lives, or my Facebook stories or my Instagram stories. All right. Well, hope you all have a good evening. Okay, bye.